When essential workers may not be employees.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by the United States Postal Service, offering postage stamps for purchase at more than 40,000 supermarkets, drugstores, office suppliers, and wholesale clubs. And by C3.ai. C3.ai software enables organizations to use artificial intelligence at enterprise scale, solving previously unsolvable business problems. Learn more at C3.ai.
I'm David Brancaccio. General Motors results out today show the downturn in the first half of this year was offset by a strong second half of the year. Still, U.S. sales at GM down 12% in 2020 compared to 2029. The stock right now down 0.7% in pre-market trading. Yesterday, the company said it had to stop production at 3 vehicle assembly plants because of a global shortage of microchips that we've been following here. It could be mid-March before production resumes. Marketplace's Andy Euler looks at the effects on auto workers.
The 3 plants are in Canada, Mexico, and Kansas. GM says the U.S. plant employs some 2,000 workers. Jeff Shockley at Virginia Commonwealth University says a temporary closure, as opposed to a plant shutting down for good, is relatively common in the auto industry.
Temporarily closing plants is not necessarily a huge concern because of a supply shortage, although it might send a signal that there's inherent supply chain or capacity problems.
According to the Auto Workers Union, those U.S. employees will receive supplemental pay and unemployment that pays 75 to 80% of their salary and benefits. Sam Firani at Auto Forecast Solutions says the keyword here is temporary.
They're down for a week or 2 or 3. These people will come back in and they may have to give up a summer break to make up for it later.
But they're not out of a job. GM also said the semiconductor shortage and temporary plant closures do not change the company's, quote, commitment to an all-electric future. I'm Andy Euler for Marketplace.
As part of a broader reappraisal of brands long criticized for their demeaning or racist roots, there's now a new name for what had been Aunt Jemima pancake mix and syrup. It'll be called Pearl Milling Company. Marketplace's Nova Safo has that.
The Aunt Jemima brand got its name from a character in racist minstrel shows of the 19th century. The name survived through more than 100 years of change, but following the Black Lives Matter protests last summer, the brand's owner, Quaker Oats, which itself is owned by Pepsi, said it would get rid of the label. Now Aunt Jemima pancakes and syrups will be sold under the name Pearl Milling Company, a nod to the original manufacturer of the pancake mix. Other brands are making similar changes. Mars renamed Uncle Ben's Rice. It's now Ben's.
WNYC is supported by Concordia Conservatory, presenting The Art of the Quilt, a celebration of women composers set against the backdrop of the Osiris Gallery's exhibition of contemporary quilts this Sunday at 5 p.m. More at concordiaconservatory.org.
Podcast called The Uncertain Hour has a new season out looking at how, while we may have jobs in America, we are often not employees. A crucial job at any time, but especially during pandemic. Custodian may not be an employee on the same payroll as others, the independent contract janitor. And you're set up here to give me a name?
Yes, his name is Jerry Vasquez from Southern California. And in the mid-2000s, Jerry was looking for work with flexibility and independence because he was helping care for his dad, who was very sick. And Jerry saw this ad for a company called JanPro. It said JanPro could help Jerry start his own personal janitorial business through this franchise model for a down payment of $5,000, in Jerry's case, plus some monthly franchise fees and loan payments. JanPro said they'd find Jerry cleaning jobs, do the billing, and Jerry would focus on getting the buildings clean. Jerry was intrigued. He borrowed money from his parents and he went for it.
How did it work out for him?
not well. He quickly realized just how much in franchise fees and loan payments that JanPro was taking out of his check each month. And on top of that, he says the cleaning accounts that JanPro found and negotiated for him just did not bring in enough money, given how long it took to clean the buildings. And then when Jerry did the math, he realized he was only making about $5 an hour. And the more he thought about it, even though JanPro called him an independent contractor, JanPro had so much control and economic power over him that he really felt more like an employee, or worse.
They would go and check my accounts every month. They would tell me, hey, you need to dust here, or if you're not wearing your JanPro shirt, they could fine you $50 for that. Felt like I wasn't a franchise owner. I felt like I was an employee that was basically just paying for a job, cleaning toilets after we had already paid them thousands.
Jerry's experience is common enough that he and a number of other JanPro janitors have filed a lawsuit. They claim really they should be considered employees with all the rights that come with that label, like making at least minimum wage. And JanPro's not the only janitorial franchise company that's faced a lawsuit like this in the last several years. In some cases, the janitors have already won.
And how has a firm that organizes these janitorial franchising relationships responded to claims like this?
Well, JanPro argues that cleaners like Jerry do have enough control and independence to be considered independent contractors. And they also say that if they had to classify these janitors as employees, it could upend their whole business model. And actually, franchising models are getting a lot more scrutiny these days, in the same way that gig work, as practiced by companies like Uber, have raised questions over what rights and benefits their workers should get. Franchises are becoming a new battleground.
My Marketplace colleague, Chrissy Clark, host of our podcast, The Uncertain Hour. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There is a new episode of The Uncertain Hour out this morning where you can hear more about the experience of this janitor who fought back. Subscribe for free wherever you like to sign up for podcasts. I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.